SSG starts on Oregon.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the bans and see who's knocked out. Nook is the first to be immediately knocked out. Nook immediately removed by SSG as they have those two outside bans from that centerpiece on the UI there. I mean, we have the two exit bans coming up next. To talk about Nook, though, we've been seeing her banned out more and more often because teams have been using her more and more. She has the capability to bring nades, and as those of you who follow Siege may know, they're pretty popular inside of the meta right now. And aside from that, just a great capability to line up some early also because of her active ability, so we've seen her play kind of skyrocket, especially here on this map, so it makes perfect sense to ban her out. Ying, pretty much the same thing. She's a go-to pick for attackers here on Oregon, so I can understand exactly why XSET would not want to have to deal with her.
And getting more complicated as we get down the line as well. Nook and Ying removed for the offense, leaving open all breach options as well as Thatcher. Well, Maya will be banned, and what's her last ban going to be? It's actually going to be Mute taken away, so some denial taken away from the defensive setup as well. So more than likely going to have to look into Bandit and potentially Mozzie to try and deal some damage to this info game here, as well as hold on to these walls. I mean, Mute can get so much done with those Mute jammers a myriad of different ways that he can be applied to sites. And speaking of the site, we're headed towards laundry and supply here, and since we didn't have any hotly contested defensive bans, things along the lines of like Mira or Valkyrie, they'll all be in play as well. This could be a pretty interesting Oregon.
Yeah, more than anything, ban I think kind of throws players in the defense. Mute ban I think kind of throws that off of a usual comfort pick that we'll get on quite a few of the sites there, so that's going to force them, as you said, over onto a Mozzie or Abandon or something similar. Either way, it's not going to bring the same kit that we would generally come from Mute. That very powerful combination of the shotgun right next to the SMG 11 no longer going to be in check. And that's the main thing, along with, of course, the denial being removed too, makes the earlier parts of the drone game into the round a heck of a lot easier, as you can keep constant info flow rolling about what's going on the site instead of having to look for like just a tiny little insertion point where you can work past those Mute jammers. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, seemingly SSG want to try and stay committed to holding on to Freezer here as well, be applying laser gates around. And pretty solid positions, especially for Foltz's initial one that we got to see there for the security hatch. Always nice to have another layer of defense around those spaces, especially when it comes to load time like it usually does with the basement defense. If XSET don't have the proper clear later on, they might have to give up a frag grenade or something else of very important utility. So past that, XSET finally out and about on the field, and since all of you folks at home just got to experience in Oregon, this is more than likely not going to shift things up for you too much. The opening moments here are all going to be about clearing out the mid and top floor, making sure that there's no roam game, and if there is, then obviously clearing that. Majority of the time there is, but obviously for SSG, they've got some, different ideas.
So we're going to continue to see both teams kind of weight this down a little bit, obviously into SSG's own benefit. Bosco patiently waiting out for the potential push to come his direction over here towards security. Not going to be able to catch it, but Rampy will, as he knocks down Spirits deeper into kitchen there, now grouping up with his other teammate on the inside of security, and I believe both of them all down to the freezer hatch, and yes, indeed, that is the case. So they will both remain safe, and at the moment, untraded, going into the later portion of this round. So a clean start for SSG.
Yes, indeed. When taking down Spirit's going to remove that Gemini clone as well, so we'll be lacking some more info on top of the drones that have already been extinguished. Gomez now attempting to clear out Big Tower, but it should be fairly straightforward for him and Yaga, as there's nobody in the same zip code as them at the current moment. Rest of SSG hold on to their morals downstairs and await XSET's arrival. Still have to get some of these hatches open, but they're making quality time. The lobby hatch will be popped open just now. We're only halfway through this round. Still have to get things open for meeting. I believe the security hatch has indeed already been popped, but we'll just have to see here momentarily. But as for the rest of the offensive unit, they're focusing on trying to wrap themselves around this bottom site and make it a little bit more convoluted for SSG to try and fight back.
Skies continuing to sit back, wait this out, is able to deny to sit back, wait this out, is of the attempts to open up X-Kairos room a little bit deeper into the back of the hallway towards areas like Harry Potter. Skies will be able to continue to deny that because of this forward deployable shield. Players on XSET really just can't do anything about this right now until they're able to chunk some utility down inside of it. Skies will start to worry about his position a little bit, but still peeks back into it, revealing the angle to Kino for XSET to take him down, giving them their first kill of the round right around the 45-second mark here. A lot more progress needing to be made from XSET, but you can see a potential pinch being built up here. Bosco, though, doesn't want to become a victim of it, so he pushes out from the pinch himself, shuts down Gomez, and locks another kill from SSG. Rampy trying to do the same exact thing against the construction push, but XSET doesn't really have the confidence to make this play work. Thankfully, the nade is on point. It'll land right behind Rampy, knock him out, and leave them one player further down. No real chance of Rampy getting recovered here, so he's more than likely out for the count, meaning we are going to be locked in a 3v3 with 15 seconds left. Another aggressive push being made by Bosco up those back stairs too, but he has second thoughts about it. Houghton was able to grab one of the 3 remaining members of XSET. Houghton gets the second, and indeed, Bosco shuts down the last for SSG's initial round pickup.
Gorgeous round there from Spacestation, especially for Bosco. Taking that presence on big stairs was so very important, so influential in that position. He was starting to get, sussed out, especially from the position from Kino, electrical drop as he picks up Skies, and he knows that more than likely the smoke will be playing around Harry Potter. He pops open another hole, but since, that's known, they're pinging that out on the wall. Bosco goes for the aggressive swing instead and tries to reclaim land, and it works out masterfully. Past that, XSET really can't get anything done. They no longer have any pivotal position belt, so it just makes it so hard to try and work their way in against the SSG onslaught as they get gunned down time and time again. They'll lose out on their basement offense. Now have to try and shift gears towards upstairs. And speaking of shifting gears, SSG, a full line shift really when it comes to this defensive utility. We'll still be bringing the ADSs as well as the laser gates and have some smokes, but past that we've got the Azami as well as the Goyos coming in, so kind of a different idea when it comes to the way that this defensive side is going to play.
I think there was some positive moments, to correct my speech for a second there, from XSET as they tried to make that push from construction side, but the problem is their backstairs play was just dead weight. As soon as we saw members on SSG decide to push up it themselves and consistently challenge against any play that would have gone down that staircase. Normally you want to have the attackers right around that halfway point down the first flight of stairs, ready to make that wrap around before those construction players can have the confidence to move forward, because that'll be a second angle against the pillar players, but they just didn't have that lined up, unfortunately, because of the aggression being position lined up, unfortunately, because played out by the smoke player on SSG in the last round.
Yes, indeed, and now we'll see if SSG can do it yet again. As we were talking about, it's a little bit of a different strategy here. Some more delay being brought with the Goyo canisters that can delay for 20 seconds, folks. A lot of flames for XSET to try and work their way around. We'll see if they can navigate those later on into the round, or try and get rid of them within a certain time frame that'll allow them to play instead of these dying moments of round 2. Rampy will work his way in through Z, has the potential to bump into Gomez, but he definitely doesn't want that gunfight. The Vector's so strong in close quarters, but anything when it starts to reach towards that medium distance area, more than likely going to get ripped to shreds by one of these LMGs or some of these stronger rifles in the game. As that first minute is going to diminish, XSET will begin breaking up some panels inside of the actual site, but past that, really nothing to be said about this mid-floor. XSET has simply used their drone game to push themselves forward, but haven't come into contact with any of the SSG members just yet. A beautiful frag grenade, and Bosco almost being blown sky high, but fortunately enough, it'll only be some serious damage to his leg.
Bosco just having a tiny bit of undestroyable flooring to keep him alive there, not allowing the damage to spread out enough to fully kill him as of yet, so he'll be able to keep himself in it for another fight. Fultz nearly keep himself in it for another fight, falling victim to the same exact tactic there, as he's also brought down to just a sliver of HP now. Not the greatest start here from SSG, but no confirmed kills coming in yet, and Rampy trying to sneak right in to the nest of XSET players. It will not work out, and on top of the kill against Rampy, Bosco will also fall to Yaga's second nade. Yes, one trade was powerful one too, knocking out the Finca, currently being played by Gomez, but still a massive disadvantage has been thrown SSG's way, especially when you consider the still very low HP that Fultz is working with.
Well, low HP, but 2 Kiba barricades that could potentially help him out here. I'll see one of these angles that is harder to manage and potentially play out your life for big window. We'll have to see what the decision is here. XSET just have so much manpower as well as frag grenades to play around this situation. Yaga, though, he's going to get lit up. Unfortunately enough for SSG, Skies and Hot and Cold still quite healthy. Fultz will hold on to this window, and this is going to give him so much potential to win this out here in his position. Hot and Cold will get one of his own. DS will take down Skies, though, but this is going to present the 2 versus 2, and look at Yog's HP currently. Back and forth they go. nice angle held here from Hot and Cold, but he won't be able to win it. Foltz gets one. They don't know where the last one is. This is Diaz Lucas, who hops inside of the big window. He doesn't have case control, though. He has to run back and now has to try and plant it. But minimal time, there's going to be 5 seconds. At minimal time, there's going to be 5 for Hot and Cold to find him, but he can't run through the fire either. The Goyo's holding it down. Diaz is going to get a free plant. Almost hits the kill. Back and forth they go. Hot and Cold has to hit him twice. Oh, but no. We have the center monitor, luckily enough. And, well, it looks like Diaz will get taken down. Hot and Cold with a beautiful angle. The EBR will work it out. Only necessary to take him down. And the longest teabag that I have ever seen inside of NAL history. Just to let him know, SSG up 2-0.
SSG bringing it back and inside of a massive clutch scenario as well. They take control of a second round, quite literally by a hair here. Both of the players inside of the 2vx clutch with a collective HP of about 20 as well, going off of how low the bars were there. So really, really well played from SSG, especially inside of that 2v4 stack, how they had to start that clutch out from. Excellently played to bring it down to the 2v2 point and masterfully clutched as well by Hot.
Yes, indeed, my friend. SSG in a really, really solid spot right now. XSET, that's definitely been the strongest round we've seen from them at this current moment. But, I mean, as for SSG, I mean, I really, really hope that we continue to see this on their defensive end. They've been, you know, showcasing so very much throughout these rounds thus far, especially with their ability to slow down XSET's gameplay and make it to where they have to try and go for some of these more aggressive takes towards the site that could potentially, you know, allow SSG back in. And it's not something necessarily speaking that XSET can afford. And that's what we saw inside of that last round. You give SSG, you know, an inch, they're going to take a mile. And that's exactly what we see as that second round goes down. Now have to try and deal with the tertiary bomb site, which is going to be meeting and kitchen for this one.
Downstairs for the first time here for SSG, at least the first floor at least. Obviously they played into the basement previously, but aside from that, things continuing to look promising indeed for our current defensive-sided roster. XSET, of course, bringing it very, very close 2 times in a round. The first one a little bit further away as they failed to line up the proper aggressive lineup to take pillar control on the basement defense, but this time it was pretty much in their hands and unfortunately only lost it due to the individual prowess of the clutching members from SSG. Now time to see if they can change up their fate a little bit here, put a decisive round into their bank, and stop the bleeding as SSG is about to run it up 3-0 in their favor, if not with a complete site rotation to complete it all.
Well, XSET, fortunately enough, have not discovered their fate just yet for round 3. It still hangs in the balance with plenty of them, or plenty of options for them to take control of in order to potentially change it. In order to potentially. For SSG, and again, just waiting around to see what XSET's next move is going to be. Bosco's going to start moving towards Big Tower. He does get droned out, but this is only going to throw a spanner into the works of XSET's game plan and potentially delay things out for some more time before they're allowed to clear out Bosco. They're going to break open the kitchen hall window. Running things out when it comes to the actual kitchen area. Spirits is going to hop in, doesn't even fake the Gemini clone. He already knows that he has control of this area and potentially some solid frags as he will find Skies. Not a single person aware of what's going on inside of the kitchen hallway right now, and XSET have simply flooded the building. They've wrapped themselves completely around the site, especially with this split hold right now. This is going to make things so very difficult. Foltz with a little bit of potential, but no Nitro Cell to try and fight back off of that. Hot and Cold to get a kill. Gomez to take down Foltz that was working his way through security. And now SSG starting to warm themselves up. That case down inside of sight is Hot and somehow got away with so much from that stage position.
XSET unfortunately still locked outside of the building in the most part here. Houghton, as you can see, still maintaining full backstairs control with a lot of rotation options opened up for him to get into other parts of the map as well, because XSET have not established any basement presence, nor really can they, considering the manpower they are currently working with here. We're just going to reposition one of these clones real quickly to try and trip up the players as they work their way closer towards site. As well, drone from as well. Diaz there going to be able to spot out at least one of the 3 remaining members from SSG a little bit further down that back main stairs. Diaz, of course, will have to keep constant overwatch on that staircase for the player to potentially peek against him until he's able to group up with someone else from his squad. As you can see, though, that will be quite difficult considering there's only 3 of them in play. So second member trying to work themselves from the looks of things, and so far successfully doing so. Diaz is going to be able to group up with one more of his teammates, though, as the remaining 3 players are going to make a pinch attempt on to kitchen with the remaining 20 seconds.
A steady hand from Spacestation Gaming, allowing XSET to move in. Case now going down, but they have the overwatch on it, but they know that Bosco's upstairs, but do they know that there's two people inside of this position? Have the overwatch here for the swing, and some amazing ability to watch that angle, but unfortunately enough, the bailiff will not find the proper one. The air jab will knock Bosco down as well. They know he's more than likely sprinting around the outside, but the sledge, oh no, I thought Yaga had it there, or rather Bosco had it. Shoe on the other foot, though, as Yaga will indeed be able to secure that. And XSET will get their first round in a pretty convincing way as well. I mean, initially it wasn't exactly the hottest start for them as they would, well, obviously just walk into sight. But past that, SSG actually fend off initial entry point in that initial entry pretty interesting way. It was mostly done from hot and cold, just near the back stairwell as he kills two people, and obviously the site player dies from XSET, so they're forced to back off as he's able to shut down the back end. The rest of the Spacestation members are able to shut down that initial push from XSET and put them into some pretty difficult straits, but past that, XSET able to and actually take that site control, even though the case was left dead in the water there for some time.
Definitely a tense situation for both teams, but what's important here is XSET finally able to ground themselves, lock in a win, and very few mess-ups along the way from the 3v3 onwards. Was able to win that one with excellent play, fended off the only member of SSG of the remaining three that tried to retake that site from the first floor, and then just worried about the top-down battle from that point forward, being even oh so careful as to where they planted it. So really well done from XSET on making sure the finer details of that didn't get messed up, and they ended up fumbling, looking for someone who could actually plant that in those final seconds. We sometimes see those situations devolve down into. So very well-deserved first round on the board for them. Obviously, SSG is not going to fret that too much as they still locked in the two more important sites to win here on this map. And they'll be able to return to one of those, of course, since we are in the fourth round, and go back into another basement play here.
Yeah, this is going to be a big differentiating factor when it comes to XSET's offensive side. What can they do with this basement setup, especially played against it one time before, since they've played against it one already. So you should know that SSG more than likely going to have some bodies around the area on this mid to top floor, and we can see that already with the likes of Fultz. He'll be around Big Tower, but this is going to give him so many different avenues to get back downstairs, so he'll more than likely look for a swing around like this kitchen door and see if somebody tries to push in, because they always do from small tower. This is the routine comes to this. So we'll see if he eventually gets droned out, and he will. I'll allow him to fall back towards Big Tower. So it'll just be a quick back and forth, an exchange of utility, and SSG skimpering back towards site.
So XSET quickly clearing things out here on the extended positions upstairs. No free kill this time for SSG either, so they're going to have to work a little bit harder to be able to close out against the entirety of the XSET roster compared to the 4 they had to kill on the last defense. Obviously, this means XSET will have no problem opening up all the hatches here. Freezer a few moments ago, just seeing E-hatch open and now trying to pop open the back wall leading into construction so we don't have the slowdown that was caused on the previous attempt to attack this site here. Not even going to see that setup deployed this time from SSG. Rampy is going to be the only one near Pillar at the moment, and it'll be positioned a much further back spot towards the end of the stairway halls, or rather the hallway, yeah, the stair hallway, man. I'm really tripping over my words here at the end of the day. My bad.
Yeah, that position's also just very awkward. I believe that most people call it boiler, which is just, most people call it boiler.
That makes sense.
A very interesting thing as well, but past that, nades coming into Pillar. Another position quite close to this area, but Spirit said frag grenade's actually going to go awry, as I believe it actually ended up going off on the stairwell, so just not having a proper bounce. And speaking of proper bounces, Gomez, he's going to catch almost an ounce there of lead as Rampy throws it pistol out just to make sure he can move around these angles even faster and get himself back into a safe position. Frag grenade in, Rampy dead now, no ADSs to save him, no saving grace available. Hot and cold now trying to deal with this backstairs push, but he can't hit his mark either. Gomez is only going to get tagged up, but he's not dead yet. Still fighting fire with fire though, is Space Station Gaming, as Fultz takes down Kino. We're quickly approaching this 30-second marker. Yaga looking to try and make his own swing as he'll make his presence known inside of Laundry. And it's back and forth we go. Hot and cold, though. Definitely hot at the current moment as he'll take down 2.
Going to be able to bring up the laser gate again, so we'll stop an immediate repush from anybody else on XSET's side. Case was dropped, but so has Bosco. He's gone into a down state here, inside of an area that SSG controls, though, so a slight chance they may get him up, but considering the time, probably not going to happen. Tiaz, though, with a wonderful shot against Styes. Now another one as well. He'll try to shut it down, but never mind. Houghton brings it back once again. He picks up the quad on this round, and he's going to pop off inside the team house. You listen from inside the team house.
here, content creators. If that is not in GIF form by the time I get off this desk, we are going to have a word. You're all fired. All of you. I know all of your Twitters. That was amazing round there from Spacestation Gaming. And hot and cold, what a valiant effort put in there. I mean, so many different ways that XSET could have potentially taken that. Those positions. I mean, he's able to win out most of the fights there for Big Tower, and he's also dealing with the push coming in from Construction through Elbow, as well as Sledge coming in through Laundry. So many different areas that Hot and Cold has to worry about all at the same time, and he gets it done over and over again. This is the Hot and Cold that we're used to here in the NAL. 10-1-1 at the current moment.
Absolutely thrashing every single member of the XSET roster, and to some extent, a bit of a heavy lifter here indeed, just looking at the other players on SSG. The only one that even comes close to him right now is Fultz, and he's only got 4 kills and 3 deaths right now. Again, that's no detraction to any other members of SSG. It's more so that Hot and Cold's been doing so much of the work that the other teammates just really haven't had to as of yet here. So we'll see as SSG more than likely aiming to lock in the 4-2 minimum scoreline here by taking control of another Kids Dorm's defense upstairs and then trying to go for at least one victory on their first floor hold, but probably not going to be too concerned if they don't take that, as the 2-4 be more than workable for them.
Man, Jesse and I
More than workable for them.
Pick right now is really not working out. we're gonna have to see.
I don't know. That's second half. I feel like there's definitely some bring back rumor, especially if we get the 2-4 for XSET. I feel like they're still definitely in this.
Hey, you know, don't call it a comeback. They've been here for years. All right, they've been working on it. XSET though, I as you were saying, that was my follow up. Is that they definitely still have this back as a defensive side on Oregon. Just has always been the better side to play when it comes to this map. Rampy, speaking of better positions, really strong one here. He's inside of the Showers hallway, operating back and forth, but instead abandon ship as he gets droned out. And not only that, but also his keep a barricade or barrier will get eaten up by that Flores drone. So making it a little bit difficult for him to try and manage a lot of these different angles. So that's going to be the first minute now expended for XSET as they start working their way in. Another one of these Kiba barriers will get eaten up, though, by the sledgehammer of Yaga. At least be able to discover one plane inside of security. That's going to be Fultz. He's got no more blades at the current moment until right now. So he'll be able to seal up at least one more door, which he'll do immediately. But with Sledge in play, again, that just makes it so easy. So he's just going to work his way back and pop that open. You're never going to be able to out-utility that operator. But you can outgun others as Rampy will fall to Spirits.
XSET getting themselves off to a good start. XSET getting themselves off on this round is a great sign here, as this is a site they really need to try and steal away to keep their comeback chances alive and in much stronger form when they get into the second half too. Clean first kills. We have not seen a member of SSG able to postulate a potential swing to trade that out as of yet. And you're also going to see, oh no, Fultz, very primed and ready to take on the duel here versus Spirits. Look at the trade for himself now, as he's going to be locked into this kitchen position, already at low HP. Toxic Babe to fend off some of the aggression. An aid goes in, but it actually grabs Bosco more so than anything else here. Fultz has been able to back up and away from it, so he's not going to take a huge amount of damage from that. In fact, none at all. Bosco indeed becomes the true victim of that nade here. Gomez going to try to go for a second throw of it, but that one unfortunately is a big miss. Only knocking out utility, if anything, above it. They're not going to be able to find any damage against the members of SSG.
Spacestation has done such a bang-up job of slowing down XSET throughout Oregon, and that's something that we really have to notate, because with a team like XSET, they're so very explosive, and it's hard to get a lid on them. But finally, SSG has seemingly been able to accomplish this, and, well, going into the dying moments, SSG has exchanged out the man count for time, as, well, Yaga's going to pick up a big one. Bosco now fighting back, though, as him and Skies are locked inside of Kids' dorms. Sky's going to shift over towards the actual attic area, switching back and forth between bodies, but not able to hit either of them. Very, very critical shots, and that's going to allow Kino to get this plant down. Skies will finally kill Gomez, but they're into the 2 versus 2. Very low HP on these two members as well. Skies has to go for gold, and he'll be able to accomplish that. He makes up for his earlier mistakes, but Yog, he's got an opportunity! Oh, my God! The boy from the Midwest, he's ice cold in the middle of June.
Yaga with the pre-fire to end it all off as well. Knew that shotgun swing was coming around the corner, so prematurely backs up to get away from it and still lines up the shot perfectly. Nicely done indeed here, as we're going to see it on screen one final time. Iago, what a clutch as finally XSET get revenge for the earlier plays upstairs earlier on in this half, of course, and inside of the basement on a more recent round. They bring it up to 2-3, and now have a chance to equalize things at a 3-3 overall if they can take one more attack, so we're going to be going back to kids and dorms.
This is when you really got to start getting worried for Spacestation Gaming. This defensive end, you're really looking to go for that 4-2 split. That's what we see as an average, and that's a big thing about Oregon. When things start to dwindle and you start to get more towards that 3-3 or that 5-1, if it's even more in your favor, then that's really where you can tell who's going to take control of that other side. When it's 3-3, that's a dead heat, and you can start to get really worried for a team like Spacestation in that regard, because XSET now have defense, and XSET now have defense play quite the unorthodox style when it comes to traditional Rainbow Six. They're quite aggressive. They really want to get in your face. They're really about those trades, even on a map like Oregon. So it could catch Spacestation off guard. This next round, I mean, it has so many different ways it could affect the story of this game.
Hotness swapped out and is going to bring the Kona Station. Interesting development, because we have seen a lot of plays from SSG where they've taken damage but haven't been able to successfully evacuate the area and get back to another safe harbor. But the problem is they're fighting with what? 20, 30, maybe 40 HP at that point, and they can't realistically win an outright 1v1 against an opponent that's at 100 HP, especially if it's in the open. So these Kona Stations are an attempt to alleviate that a little bit by giving those players a bit more of a safe zone to fall back into, get that extra boost, and get them back into the fight.
Gomez?
Yep, already seen Skies pick up the opening kill versus Gomez. I believe it was out the front door.
No, it wasn't.
No?
He killed him on the Armory stairwell. He popped the front lobby door and immediately walked up Armory stairs, and Skies was managing things right under the default cam for Trophy. So right when he heard the front door break, he just obviously swung the stairwell, and, well, he found himself a Gomez head just sitting right over the top of that last stair. So now XSET worse for wear, and I mean that in the most literal sense possible. Finka off the board, especially this early, that's not how they want this round to go.
Yep, losing their combat medic, essentially. The good news is they will be able to at least trade out the numbers, as you've seen Spirits make trade out the numbers, as you see first impact here for XSET yet again. Next down, Rampy has been struggling a little bit inside of this game, to be fair, but
is
not too
this?
much of an issue right now. It's going to be a tiny little opening, just 4x Kairos there into the bottom right of Walk-In. Let's be curious to see what XSET try to do with this now, as I'm imagining there's going to be a few more breaches made as well.
Yeah, I was interested to see what he'd do with that other 2 set that he had. Oh, if there was like a way that they could potentially like crouch through that hole or something like that. It almost seems that way. That you could potentially slide on through there.
Yeah.
But well, we'll have to see. Obviously, if they walk through the wall later on, we'll know exactly what that was for, right? So the X-Gyro spell is going to make some new windows instead of the master wall. Obviously, that one just going to be some head holes so that they have vision in that area. Folt's in a pretty influential position at the current moment inside of Small Tower. Hasn't been droned out just yet, but definitely has the potential to get himself a freebie. He's not going to jump outside, though. As well, unfortunately enough, Spirit's still operating around the bottom of White. He's going to find himself a Foltz, and XSET, he might potentially be able to find themselves around. Spirits with a triple kill now. SSG, they've been decimated, but we've also seen them in this position before. That clutch factor has came to play time and time again, and all they need is for these 2 players to get 2 bodies of their own, and it starts off with Hot and Cold in 1. Spirits will fight back and take him down. It's a triple kill for Skies required now. Spirits is looking for the A now. Spirits Skies, potential on that initial shot, but now Spirits, so much damage dealt to Skies, a frag grenade into 1 shot, 1 kill for Spirits as ace for him across the screen. Spirits, as well as XSET, will tie things up. A 3-3 scoreline going into the second half.
Second ace of the day, at least for you and I, so some pop-off plays being players here today, as XSET are able to lock in the dead heat 3-3 scoreline here with some amazing play from Spirits to clear out the majority of SSG's defense here. That, of course, means it's now time to switch sides as well. XSET on the defense, SSG on the attack, and we go right back to the expected initial site for XSET, which is going to be downstairs in basement. Also to be expected, Azami immediately coming out for XSET's defense, as we've seen from essentially every single NAL team here today. She is truly that game-changing operator that we're probably going to see remain a mainstay for quite some time here.
Yes, indeed. And now, with a 3-3 half, it's anybody's game. And as we said before this match even started, it's probably going to be a little bit easier to call it on the bounce. And that's exactly what we're going to have to do. At this half, John, at this current moment, with Hot and Cold in 6 rounds going 11-3-2, with XSET having some strong showing of their own, 2 players at 9-9 at the current moment. How are you feeling about this? How do you think the second half's going to go?
I think more than anything, we need to wait and see how this first round plays. More than anything, we need to wait and see to see, but XSET definitely bringing that aggression to the table that we saw on stage 1, bringing that in-your-face style of play. And I think they're going to carry it forward here onto the defense, too. So SSG needs to play very cautiously inside of these first few seconds of each round to be able to counter that out appropriately, because there's plenty of opportunities here for SSG to get themselves started out with a massive advantage, too. Bringing it down to a 5v4, 5v3, but here inside of that first minute before these XSET players have their fun and successfully fall back to the site while having wasted out a good portion of the time bank.
Oh, Nitro Cell out, not going to find too much, as they more than likely knew there was going to be some presence around Small Tower anyways. XSET, they've got this entire map strung up with not only utility, but also players. I mean, just look at the amount of XSET bodies off-site right now. Now, this is going to be a decision-making time for Spacestation. How do they want to go about this? Do they want to go for the full clear and try and force them back downstairs, or you just try and hit the site directly and cut off the flanks? Rampy, I do believe, is alone minus his drone here for him inside of Cafe, as they'll clear things in towards Kitchen. XSET starting to work their way back towards site, but still trying to hold on to some pivotal areas as well. But this could play pretty heavily into SSG's position, as they have brought Flores along for the ride and 6 grenades. They've already expended 1, but that's so many explosive pieces of utility to get rid of all of these different areas that XSET want to try and set up.
Already a minute gone from the round. A lot of hesitation here from SSG due to XSET's forward style of play. Diaz, as you can see, going to be very forward, in fact, taking up the T3 spot. No one from SSG, I don't believe, has been able to isolate him. Yep, they're going to now due to that drone being shot out. Kind of something they just had to check to be careful about that and to be safe, and thankfully they did manage to find someone. A good insurance policy that they cash in on here to be able to now isolate out Diaz. They'll, of course, have to keep their head on a swivel to be able to watch out for the play from Diaz, as it doesn't look like they're going to be actively trying to kill him just yet here. More so going to keep a watch out for him later on in the round when he's finally ready to make a play. We do see a few other players working their way towards him, though, so we might see a bit more of an attempt to knock him out now, as the rest of SSG, of course, is getting prepared for the rest of their basement descent.
Yeah, SSG is the parent, and it just so happens to be Diaz as the child that's in timeout. He's just stuck in the corner, and he's not allowed to leave until Space Station says so. Rampy's going to continue to hold on to this, as Fultz will get rid of the... wow, that was so very close. That was a loss for words there for a split second, and oh my god, what, Fultz? I mean, count your lucky stars, my friend, to stun out and almost another kill. Spirits is going to swing for him and he'll die. Spirits 3 as Rampy will try and pick up the pieces. Flicking back and forth, they'll get rid of the ADS as well. 0 frag grenades, so not exactly going to help him out, but has the potential to get it out, but has the potential down to the 2 versus 2. XSET spinning things up. Sky's right on top of his teammate. They know that they have to be trying to hold things down, but Sky's a mismanagement of the angles. Yaga, a beautiful move out towards the construction area, and now it's down to Rampy to try and win over this round as XSET looks to take the lead. He moves in a brief fire, but Yaga's just better. The MPX to take the lead for XSET.
Let's not forget that amazing triple kill from Spirits that we saw in the middle of that engagement as well. Some really impressive stuff just to be able to get that aggressive. Knew that he was going to have to take every single fight, being able to only get 1 or 2 bullets out, and he aced every single one of those engagements before finally getting traded. I think we're going to get another look at it potentially right here, as Indeed gets 1, 2, and over to the sidearm as he knows his time is up to lock in the third. Absolutely wonderful play, and then the very sneaky beaky play from Yaga as well to sneak himself inside of that very same position where they thought it was clear. They thought they had full control over that part of the map and just shut down the remnants of the attack.
You know, I really like that play from Space Station, especially for Fultz's sake. The biggest issue is they didn't do things on proper timing. The synchronization there, exactly. It was, you know what it was? They didn't play their polymerization card. That's the problem. So, no, but for Space Station, things just really weren't synced. You have Fultz in there operating around elbow in that hallway, trying around elbow in that hallway. To
be fair, I don't think he expected to get that far, early on.
True.
That might have been part of the issue. Yeah. It was like, oh, guys, I'm in. Like, I need you now. And it was just like that awkward shuffle to get people to help him, and just couldn't get it done quickly enough. Ultimately,
honestly, I really think that it was on the big tower stairs players to try and get forward with Pillar, because think about it this way: Spirits doesn't do any right there if they manage that back area properly with what Fultz is doing, because he's trying to get over to that area to try and shut down Fultz. So if you have a big tower take that's like 2 bodies, Spears really isn't going to be able to work out of that situation the same way that he did right there. He got away with so very much playing inside of that boiler pillar area. So going to be a round that SSG definitely want to look back on and try and dissect themselves, as obviously we just kind of get to see it for a split second and try and call it on the bounce as per usual. But now, speaking of calling things, this is going to be quite the call, John. This is gonna be
this
one
is such
for
a
you.
gamble. This is such a gamble.
We're gonna need the blue play-by-play on this one whenever it happens.
All right, so Sky's just waiting for his teammates to call it out. More than likely waiting on a drone to work its way through that.
Oh my God,
to
we have
confirm
sense.
the presence here. Oh, we do actually have the sense pick. We completely missed it because we were wrapped in what was happening on the previous round. So the first sense play is in. And speaking of things that are moving in, Sky's trying to make a play. He'll be immediately shut down. Kino and Gomez also picking up kills. Kino ready for the chat, but not the sudden swing from Fultz. But not the sudden swing from going to be able to knock out Kino. We've got a sense line blocking off vision a little bit deeper into the site, but as you can see, Fultz trying to work his way past it is not going to be able to see a whole lot, unfortunately, because it's working out a bit awkwardly here for him. Either way, down into a 2v3. Fultz feels he has enough control here to be able to get the plant down onto the ground, and I'm pretty sure he's right about that, but it's all to bait more players up through white. They'll get his way up, but are not going to be able to take him down just yet. That's up to another player where he'll fail in that duty. Houghton goes down, Fultz is alone, and he finally falls to Spirits as XSET shut out yet another round.
Spirits is the Reaper, the man meant to cull for Spacestation Gaming. He is constantly the one with the trigger as SSG stare down his barrel yet again and lose a round. XSET up 2 rounds now on the defensive end. I'm looking for the Space Station timeout, wondering when it's going to come. Hasn't come just yet. XSET looking to potentially take their 6th round and push themselves onto map and match point here with a meeting hall defense.
SSG going full throttle, going full with the first part of this half here, more than likely wanting to see how all 3 sites play out before they call the pause, so that Lycan can give comms on how he thinks each and every execute went, so that when they go around again, if SSG is able to hold on long enough, of course, considering the scoreline now, they would be able to apply those lessons appropriately instead of not being able to get the input for this 3rd site here and then potentially having issues pop up on that, where obviously they wouldn't be able to pause again. It's a bit of a risk, again, considering the scoreline that potentially would allow XSET to go all the way up to 6-3, but I believe it's the way SSG we've seen them operate in the past, so I believe it's the way we're going to see them operate now.
Yep, completely agree with you. We'll have to see what they can potentially get switched up rounds, but I don't think that it's been the strategy. I think it's just been kind of a mismanagement of things from Space Station inside of these strats. I mean, perfect example, that last round, we had some beautiful crosses being held from Master, but it doesn't work out for Space Station. Everybody runs across the angle, none of their shots are landed. It looked quite similar to what happened with Skies earlier on when he was playing Jaeger inside of kids' dorms. Just some very crucial shots that are missed from that the attic position and not able to get some kills that he definitely should have had, but fortunately enough for them, they're able to work that out and get the case diffused. But past that, that's how some of these rounds have been for Space Station, just simply not landing some crucial shots, and that's all XSET needs to be able to get around over. XSET needs to be able to get around. So now for XSET, we'll be awaiting SSG's arrival as we'll have the initial member, Fultz, swinging inside of T3.
Props to SSG, by the way, for being, I believe, the first, at least, to bring the sets into play here for the NAL. Unfortunately, not able to do a whole lot with it, so we don't have a lot to talk about there with her play being thrown in, mainly just blocking off, I think, the line of sight between Trophy and the rest of the players, going over towards, like, kids and the big window dorms. But, yeah, other than that, just kind of went for the push, didn't work out, and, yeah, we'll have to wait till we see her again to talk more about how we can potentially see sets develop in the future.
Yes, indeed. Now for XSET, attempting to hold down Big Tower. Now, this is quite the risky play when it comes down to it, but have some it's risky because you play around that area with no utility, you're more than likely going to get burned. But the problem now, explosives. I don't exactly know how that damage happened either, Blue, but it does indeed. I don't know if it was a frag grenade or if he got shot, but I would assume that it has to be a grenade. But no, there's only one that got used.
I heard like thump, like he got shot. I just have no idea where that came from.
Yeah, he most definitely got shot there because that was only one frag grenade used. Hot and Cold just used the second one. So either way, some very, very big damage going on to the XSET member. And now SSG, they're looking strong on their offensive side for the first time here.
Probably came from Skies in his position right now as he's taken a little bit of upstairs control away, and as you can see, have successfully forced away most of the XSET here. SSG in full control of here. SSG in the backstage area, and now just need to be able to swing forward here and get themselves out onto the site. Unfortunately, without a whole lot of presence over here towards attic side, that's going to be a bit difficult. It's essentially just turning this into a trench line that's now been drawn between XSET and SSG. Unless they find some way to get across the no man's land, so to speak, it's going to be very difficult to effectively fight off the defenses here when they finally commit to the execute at some point in the next 40 seconds.
That 40 seconds is grueling at the current moment for Spacestation Gaming. Frag grenade out. Gomez catches it with his chest, but it doesn't matter. All the kills are a sea of blue at the current moment, except for Bosco refrag. Finally, SSG, they have some control of their own. We're also going to have DS slinking his way in towards Kitchen. Now, Spirits, with a crucial play here, he'll be able to get the initial one for the player on tower stairs. They're going to have to try and play this back and forth now inside this 2 versus 2. Spirits, he's just lackadaisically standing upstairs. You can't do that in that kind of position. Your HP is so low, and he just stands inside of the angle. Oh, DS, so very close, and the second shot misses as well. Oh, so very unfortunate. Bosco currently just prone in behind the actual stage area, awaiting the swing of the other player. He'll kill one. It's now just down to hot and cold, playing the stairwell behind the playing the stairwell. His shield, and wouldn't you know it, Diaz doesn't have any explosive utility. Could have had impacts, but that was more than likely his deployable shield on the stage. He's going to try and stick the buzzer. Back and forth they go, but going to have to try and do a better job of that, my friend. Gonna try and challenge it out as he's walking towards him. Let's see what's gonna happen. Oh! They both missed!
He's out of time, though. He's out of time.
Oh my god! Oh my god! You can't! Guys, we're pro players here. Please don't do this to me. Holy sh! Oh my gosh! That's not something you want to see. Spacestation Gaming are able to get the round, though, and stave off map point for XSET in that ludicrous moment there on.
There's a lot of whiffs in that round for some reason. I don't know what's going on that round. A lot of players just missing sprays. It was a rough one to watch. But at the end of the day, SSG do just barely close it out from the 1v1.
That right there, and the frag grenade bouncing off of Ella's chest and him just running around it to kill the Space Station member in tower. You guys are taking just years off of my life at this point. Like it's just so crazy, Blue.
Well, SSG able to equalize things a little bit here, as it seemed for a moment like XSET was going to truly run away with this victory for themselves, but no longer the case. A sign of life has been found from SSG on the tertiary site, to be fair to XSET. Tertiary site, to be fair. However, returning now to these more default ones, since we did not get the pause, important to note, from SSG there, they're going to be still going in without any additional input from their coach. It's possible they leaned onto something in that previous round, which they're also going to try and apply into basement, but this is a much different site, so we're going to have to hope that SSG's Assault will be a little better off this time. Set will be claiming their second to last round that they need to win this.
Now, don't quote me on this, but I do believe that Homo said laxing. Lycan is also one of the members of Space Station that is indeed ill, so he might just not be in the room. He might just be off watching things in another area, and that would definitely show as to why SSG hasn't necessarily taken a timeout, because it would just be them discussing with themselves, and if they feel confident in the round going forward, then they don't necessarily need that, because there's nobody else that's going to have input for them. So, Space Station been doing a bang-up job here in the last couple of moments, but that could change up quickly as Yaga so very close to an opening kill and could potentially chase this man down as well. Doesn't want to sprint too much though, because it will give up the goods as to his position at the current moment.
Hot and cold, starting to drone things out from the front end of the building. We'll have to isolate these more aggressive positions here.
Spirits is 17-7.
Oh yeah, you just noticed that? I was going to bring that up. I was thinking for a second, what's the kill record? But then I remembered, and we're fairly far off of that. So
27.
we got a little bit more to go. we got before we start talking about that here for Spirits. But either way, he has been on fire this game and has very much been the player to fear if you're SSG looking at this game right now.
I mean, just look at the position that he's playing, even where he was right there for a split moment. It's just such an off angle, and some places you're not going to look for a player to be when you swing and clear that by yourself. So it just gives second to be able to pick up that frag before the opposing member of SSG is able to adjust. So it's just a very strong way of not only playing Siege, but just playing FPSs in general. Anybody in an FPS is only as good as their information unless they literally want to swing every corner and pre-fire it. So as long as you can kind of play with your big brain and sit in positions like that, you can more than likely get some things over, not on just players inside a rank, but professional players here, folks. Spirits is not doing anything outlandish. He's just playing a little bit smarter than your average cookie. So for ramping the rest of SSG, they'll continue their further clear here and getting these hatches opened up. Already gotten security open, but now as we get down to this last minute, SSG really need to get into this info game so they can figure out where this case's home is going to be.
The good news is that has seemingly been a priority for the past 20 to 30 seconds or so. The Gemini initially thrown in from hot and cold, getting fairly deep over towards the laundry sink, so we're able to get some good intel there. 2 to 3 additional drones, as you're kind of seeing now with 2 of them, have worked their way in to reconfirm that the intel they got before off the Gemini is still accurate. And this is leading into their execute now. The big question is going to be, this is leading into their execute now. What else do they have besides this laundry push? That can easily be fended off just with the toxic babes that are coming in from Kino. They're going to rely on the freezer and maybe a bit of backstairs play to make this work, but neither one of them is fielding results right now. As we come down to the last 30 seconds, that nade rolls in out of nowhere, though, from Rampy. That leaves bye-bye to Yaga. Usually a late round contributor. So a pretty important kill in the long run of things, but that's a pretty important shot from Diaz as he knocks out Bosco and evens out the numbers. Gomez will get 1-2. Rampy to trade it right back and keep us locked in a 3v3. The Nitro is shot mid.
Oh my God!
Diaz blind, but spotting out faults anyway, and Spirits just doing what Spirits does, shutting it all down from the hallway as he picks up 3 on that round, I believe.
Gross. The basement is just hands and feet above any other site when it comes to Oregon overall. I mean, even the top stairs site is starting to get played out quite a bit where the offense is just really good at taking control of things. So it really seems like your major leg to stand on nowadays for Oregon is that basement defense. And that's why we see so many teams layer this top floor. I mean, even looking at the trophy master area, just the laser gates in this master area, just the laser kind of tell the tale of what XSET has to do to try and hold down kids' dorms.
So XSET with one more round to go. We'll look to lock it in, as Stokes was mentioning, here on the kids' dorm setup. SSG, of course, will look to breach past that. We do have an interesting repick coming in from Skies. He'll be going to a more comfortable pick for himself, or to the Zofia, adding a little bit more to that LMG prowess, more than likely, assuming he's gone for that selection. And indeed, we can confirm he has now that he's actually spawned in. Obviously, he'll be contributed to by Rampy as well, still bringing the usual loadout there on the Finka for those mid-round boosts, as well as the additional LMG power. And then for the defensive side, it's a big capitalization, again, on a full spread of utility, not trying to focus on any one particular area here. We've got ops, we've got stun ops as well here. Spirits is still playing into his own personal pick on the Ella. Didn't really see the Gashmots come to a huge effect so far for XSET, but I think it's more so just for the comfort picker Spirits more than anything, because he is shredding it right now, 19-7.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. 19 kills. I could take a baseball bat into war if I
can pick whatever he wants.
Exactly.
When he's got those stats.
You want a 2x4? You want a brick? What do you want? What do you want to fight with, Spirits? Because it seems like you just keep winning these fights time and time again. But he's got quite the strong weapon at the current moment here with that Eva 12 gauge. Well, see what he can try and get done with that here. As, the round continues on. Spacestation clearing out a bit of utility, but it's mostly just been quite a bit of utility, but it's mostly the explosive variety, deployable shields and things along those lines. Volt still with so many different Rotero drones to try and work out this position. I do believe indeed that we did have a Kiba on that door, but not able to get rid of it just yet. Nitro Cell out. Yaga will dedicate that pre-fire in towards Master as SSG start to take control. Quite a few different angles Yaga has to worry about now, especially this one on the back end, as you can see them pinching him out. This single panel for Attic could be quite detrimental as well, but Spirits more than likely managing the Master Closet. Yes, indeed. This is such a strong spot to try and play with a shotgun. We see this time and time again here on Oregon, something that you can kind of do as an audible play for the time. As somebody play around the Master Closet wall, open up one area so that the hard breach can't just simply explode the wall, and then just play for that little tiny room. Any shotgun is going to be fatal within 1 to 2 shots, and Yaga, speaking of fatal, deadly disguise, but hot and cold, bounces back with the frag grenade.
Takes one with him on the way out, as Stokes mentioned there. Spirits as well, just eclipsing on 20 kills for those who are keeping track, and now he's going to keep track of everybody on the opposing squad, or at least he'll try to. Rampy will get the better of him. That equalizes things out a little bit more palatable now for SSG, but they're still going to be down a player. And with 45 seconds still to play into it, XSET have a lot of time now to back up, reset themselves, and get ready for this final push. And get ready for this. Houghton as well as Rampy. They don't have the confidence to play into it just yet. Houghton is going to be placing himself a little bit closer to that trophy doorway, but you'll see Gomez ready to stop the challenge if he goes through with it. Rampy and Houghton, though, both striking true, but Kino taking one more on the trade here because he's got that shotgun. Bringing it down to just Houghton here, both at low HP as well. That favors Kino here because of the shotgun play. Just now being able to retrieve the case. He'll move into the site with it. Pre-fire attempt from Kino. It's a wide miss. Out comes the swing. He's got hot pinks for it, but he misses them. Trying to play this on Tricky. He's out of ammo on the SM around the shotgun, but he'll switch over to the SMG-11 to close it down. And we will indeed see XSET close out this with such a hefty advantage in their favor. Bringing it back. You're a little high there. You got to go a little lower. There you go. Bring yourself into the frame a bit. Bring out the pets. Bring out the stuffed animals as it's XSET's time to shine here today. They take the matchup towards the end of